Have you ever stood in a room full of people, yet felt invisible in the eyes of the one who once swore they'd always see you? Have you ever poured your spirit like water into someone's hands, only to watch them let it slip away carelessly, as if you were nothing more than a momentary guest in their world? This moment, the sting of being unseen, is where many collapse into silence or self-doubt. But what if I told you there is one silent shift, one inner trick that doesn't require confrontation nor bitterness, only stillness? Try it once, and you may never return to the old version of yourself again. Stay until the end. What you're about to hear is not just advice, it is a mirror for your soul and a compass pointing you home. Now ask yourself, if someone doesn't value you, why are you still offering yourself as a gift? There is a silence within you that no one else can hear. A space untouched by the noise of the world, unmoved by the praise or criticism of others. Yet how often we abandon this silence to chase after echoes, hoping someone else's voice will validate our worth, hoping that in their gaze we might finally see ourselves. But true worth is not something to be given. It cannot be found in someone's approval, nor lost in their rejection. Like the mountain that remains unmoved by the passing clouds, your value exists in stillness, deep, rooted, unchanging. A monk once walked into a village. The people gathered, drawn by his presence, each one offering gifts, praise, and admiration. The monk received them with a gentle bow and a quiet smile, but his face remained calm, unaffected. One bold villager asked, "Master, do you not feel honored by our gifts?" The monk looked up and replied, "If a man offers me a robe and I do not accept it, to whom does the robe belong?" The villager answered, "To the one who offered it." "Exactly," said the monk. "Praise, like insult, only rests where it is received. My worth does not rise or fall by hands that carry it." This is the first gate of wisdom, knowing that you are whole, even when someone fails to see you. We live in a time where attention has become the currency of self. A message unanswered, a look overlooked, and suddenly we doubt our very being. But this is illusion. Imagine a pearl at the bottom of a quiet lake. Whether anyone dives to retrieve it or not, it remains just as radiant, just as rare. True shift begins when we stop asking, "Do they see me?" and begin asking, "Do I see myself?" The mirror we seek in others is often cracked by their own wounds. You must become your own reflection, clear, centered, and constant. In the still hours before dawn, listen to the breath within your body. Is it not sacred? Does it not arrive and leave with perfect rhythm, whether you are praised or forgotten? Your breath does not ask for recognition. It simply is. Let your worth be the same. A presence, not a performance. There's a quote from an ancient sage named Zhuangzi. A man who knows he is right does not trouble himself with being believed. This is not arrogance. It is peace. The peace of one who walks their path without needing applause. In the quiet moments of rejection, when your message is seen but not replied to, when your presence is ignored, instead of spiraling inward, pause. Ask yourself, what part of me is seeking something that cannot be given? Then gently return to the breath. Let it anchor you. Let remind you you are already whole. And so we arrive at the second turning. Letting go is not the same as giving up. When someone no longer values you, it is natural to feel pain. But pain is not the enemy. Clinging is. To hold on tightly to someone who has turned away is like grasping a fistful of sand. The harder you squeeze, the faster it slips through your fingers. Detachment is not coldness. It is warmth directed inward. It is saying, I honor the connection we shared, but I will not bleed for what refuses to breathe with me. A parable is told in the East of a young disciple who became attached to a sparrow he found injured in the woods. He fed it daily, protected it from harm, and the bird grew strong. But when it began to fly again, it perched by the window, eager for the sky. The disciple wept, pleading, "Stay. I have loved you, cared for you." The master saw this and spoke gently, "You were kind to the bird, but now your kindness must become wisdom. Love does not cage. It listens to the wings." Many confuse detachment with apathy. True detachment is deep compassion, one that extends not only to others, but to oneself. It says, "I do not need to hold on to what no longer holds me, not because I am unfeeling, but because I am aware." In nature, tree sheds its leaves each autumn, not in despair, but in trust. It does not grasp the dying leaf, nor beg the cold wind to be gentle. It simply lets go, knowing that spring will come again, and with it, new life. Have you ever noticed how peace returns the moment you decide to stop forcing something? A friendship, a relationship, connection. When you finally release your grip, even the H becomes quieter. That is the wisdom of detachment. It heals not by erasing, by releasing. Detachment does not say, "I do not care." It says, "I care deeply, but I care for myself too." There is a lesser known saying from the Buddhist teacher Shantideva: if there is a solution to the problem, why be upset? If there is no solution, what is the use of being upset? This is the calm of one who lets go, not in defeat, but in grace. In your daily life, notice where your energy flows. Do you keep checking your phone for a message that never arrives? Do you replay words in your mind, trying to find the moment they began to drift? This is not healing. This is holding on. And holding on is a burden the soul was never meant to carry. Try this simple act. Instead, breathe in. And as you exhale, whisper silently, "I release." Do this not once, but as many times as needed. Each breath, a soft farewell. Each exhale, a reminder. I am enough. I am enough. Even when they are gone, letting go is not forgetting. It is remembering who you were before you needed them to remind you. So the journey continues. First, to find our worth not in the gaze of another, but in the breath of our own being. And then, to release those who no longer walk beside us, not with bitterness, but with peace. Like the river that keeps flowing, even as stones fall from its banks. Remember, the one who sees your true value will never require you to prove it. Until then, become like the mountain, still, vast, and full of quiet power. Those who seek truth will find their way to your presence. If they do not, it is not because you are not worthy. It is because they were not ready. Walk on. There are moments in life when silence becomes louder than any spoken word, when we cease our pursuit, when we no longer run after what drifts away, something hidden becomes visible. A deeper knowing arises, one that had been buried beneath our own restlessness. The wisdom that reveals itself in stillness is not easily grasped in movement. In this way, stillness is not emptiness, it is clarity. Imagine a pond disturbed by wind. Ripples break the reflection of the sky, making the water appear unclear, chaotic. But when the wind dies down and the water rests, everything above and below becomes visible again. The clouds, the moon, even the fish swimming beneath. Such is the nature of the mind when we stop chasing what refuses to be caught. There is a story of a young seeker who traveled far to meet a master. When he arrived, he was anxious, desperate for answers. "Master," he said, "tell me how to find peace, how to stop this aching in my heart." The master poured him tea, and without speaking, he continued to pour until the cup overflowed. "Why do you keep pouring?" the student exclaimed. The master smiled gently. "Like this cup, your mind is full of questions, worries, pursuit. Until you empty yourself, there will be no room for the truth." In the same way, when someone no longer values us, our first instinct is to do more, explain, chase, beg to be seen. But often, This very movement is what blocks the truth from surfacing. The simple trick that few remember is this: stop, breathe, do nothing. In the space of stillness, the truth comes forward on its own. A person who truly cherishes you will not forget you simply because you are quiet. They will seek you, as roots seek water. But those who vanish the moment your effort fades were never present to begin with. Stillness unmasks what the noise was hiding. In daily life, this can be seen clearly. When a text goes unanswered, we often rush to send another. When someone grows distant, we try to pull them close. But what happens when, instead, you fall back into yourself, into the quiet observation of your own thoughts and breath? You realize that not all silence is abandonment. Some silence is a truth making itself known. Nature teaches this again and again. After the storm, the forest does not shout, it listens. The animals emerge, the trees release their tension, and life continues clearer than before. In your own being, create this space. Let your calm be the container where reality reveals itself. There is a lesser quoted saying from the philosopher Seneca: that which fortune has not given, she cannot take away. The blessings which come from within are beyond her reach. Stillness is this blessing. It is yours. No one can remove it unless you abandon it yourself. And so, as the still pond reflects the sky, your inner calm begins to reflect your truth. The trick is not a technique. It is a way of being. A returning, a remembering that what is real will remain and what is illusion will drift away when you stop chasing it. As we begin to rest in stillness, another truth becomes clear. What we give energy to grows. Every thought, every emotion, every longing is a seed. And wherever we place our attention, those seeds begin to take root and bloom. So ask yourself gently, where is my attention going? What am I feeding with my energy? The mind, like a garden, is always growing something. The question is, are you growing peace, or are you unknowingly nurturing pain? There is a teaching from the Shaolin tradition about two wolves. A master explained to his student, there are two wolves inside you. One is fear, doubt, and desperation. The other is peace, strength, and clarity. The student asked, which wolf will win? The master replied, the one you feed. When someone stops valuing us, it is easy to feed the first wolf. We ruminate, we replay, we wonder what we did wrong. Our energy becomes consumed by questions that do not nourish us. This only amplifies our suffering. The simple trick, once again, is not to fight, but to redirect. Withdraw your energy, not with spite, with grace. Turn it inward. Water your own garden. Feed the wolf that brings you home. This shift is not loud. It happens in quiet moments. When you choose to meditate instead of send another message, when you write or breathe or walk through nature instead of scroll through memories. In these moments, you are reclaiming your power. Not by confronting them, by returning to yourself. Watch what happens when you stop feeding what no longer feeds you. Like a fire without fuel, it fades. Like a shadow without light, it disappears. The pain, the confusion, the longing, they begin to dissolve. And in their place, something else arises, peace. In nature, the river does not argue with the stone. It flows around it, soft yet relentless. In this way, energy wisely redirected becomes more powerful than any confrontation. You do not need to announce your withdrawal. You simply take your light and shine it where it is welcomed. A real life example of this truth is seen in the practice of pruning. A gardener removes the dying branches not because he is impatient, but because he wants the plant to thrive. In the same way, withdrawing your energy from a one-sided connection is not cruelty. It is care. Care for your own growth. There is an ancient quote from the Taoist master Lai Tzu 5. If you put yourself in motion and remain unshaken, your spirit will be settled. If you guard the within and are not drawn outside, you will be content wherever you dwell. This guarding of the within, this redirection of energy is the beginning of inner peace. So now we are beginning to see the shape of the journey. First, we stop the chase, and in stillness we see clearly. Then we gently pull our energy inward and begin to grow again from within. Do not rush. Do not strive. There is nothing to prove. The one who stands quietly in their own center needs no defense, no approval, no explanation. Let each breath be a returning. Let each moment of silence be an offering to your own soul. For in the end, you will find that the person you were chasing was never the other. It was always you, the you that is whole, the you that is enough, the you that now remembers. There is a silence more powerful than speech, a pause more instructive than explanation. When someone begins to disregard your presence, the common instinct is to react, to ask why, to prove your worth, to explain your pain. But in doing so, you offer your sacred breath to a wind that may never carry your truth with care. Instead, choose absence. Not the absence of avoidance, but the presence within absence, a calm withdrawal that echoes louder than any words. When we respond not with noise, but with stillness, we create a mirror. In that mirror, truth of others is revealed, not through confrontation, but through contrast. In a mountain temple lived a student who often quarreled with a fellow monk. One day, after a heated exchange, the master summoned him and asked, "Why do you argue so often?" The student replied, "Because he does not understand me." The master placed a bowl of water before him. "The surface," he said. The student obeyed, and ripples distorted the reflection. "Now wait," the master instructed. Minutes passed, and the water stilled. "Do you see now?" said the master. "When you strike, clarity is lost. But in stillness, truth returns. So too with life. Our reaction is the strike. Our absence, the still water. In daily life, this teaching shows itself again and again. You send a message, and it goes unanswered. The mind stirs, far why? Did I do something wrong? Should I say more? But in the choice to say nothing, a different kind of power arises. A power not rooted in control, but in mastery. You become like the moon that pulls the tide not with noise, but with silent presence. The act of choosing absence is not about punishment. It is about protection of your peace, your energy, your dignity. When you remove yourself from where you are not valued, you teach with your footsteps what words could never convey. And in nature, this wisdom is ancient. The night does not argue with the day. It simply arrives, and in its presence the stars are seen. Your absence can be the nightfall that reveals what has long been hidden. A lesser known saying from the Buddhist monk Bankei reads, "The unborn is the origin of all, and to return to it is the path of peace." In your absence, the quiet, the pause, pulling back, you return to the unborn self, untouched by judgment or rejection. And what happens when you do? The illusion falls away. Those who valued only your availability vanish, but those who see your essence, they will seek your light again, not because you demanded it, but because you became luminous in your stillness. Let your absence be your strength. Not every door must be knocked on twice. Not every silence must be filled. Like the forest that thrives without being seen, you too can grow in the unseen spaces of your life. And now, a deeper truth begins to unfold. You are not a guest in another's world. You are not a visitor hoping to be welcomed. You are the garden, the one who blooms regardless of who passes by. Many live as if waiting for someone to water them, to validate, to cherish, to love. But this waiting is suffering. A flower does not look for the gardener. It simply turns toward the sun and drinks when the rain falls. It exists to bloom, not to be chosen. In an old tale from the East, a man came to a sacred grove, marveling at the beauty of the trees. Among them stood a crooked, knotted pine. He laughed and said, "This one is useless, too twisted for lumber, strange for shade." The monk beside him smiled. "And yet it lives, because it is not cut down, because it is not used. It is free. In being nothing for others, it became everything for itself. So too with us. When we stop trying to fit the mold of someone else's desire, we begin to shape ourselves from within. We are no longer soil for another's roots. We are the earth itself. In everyday life, this awareness changes everything. When someone stops reaching out instead of shrinking, you expand. You read, you train, you create. You tend to your soul like a gardener who knows spring comes from preparation in winter. This is not selfishness. It is sacred responsibility. To live as your own garden is to cultivate joy that does not depend on arrival. It is to root yourself so deeply in being that the departure of another cannot uproot you. And nature mirrors this truth. The tree grows whether admired or ignored. The mountain rises whether climbed or left alone. Your worth is not a performance. It is a presence. There is an ancient Chinese proverb seldom quoted: deaf. The bamboo bends in the wind, but it does not break. Its hollow core allows it to remain unshaken. To be your own garden is to become like bamboo, firm in your growth, flexible in your journey, spacious enough within to hold peace in all seasons. So ask yourself gently, am I living to be seen, or am I living to be whole? Am I waiting for someone to come and tend to me, or am I already blooming? The shift is quiet, like the sun rising over misted fields, like the tide returning to the shore. But in that quiet is a revolution, one that frees you from dependence on the fickle presence of others. When someone no longer values you, let it not be a closing. Let it be a returning to silence, to self, to the soil of your own soul. Because in the end, the most powerful act is not to be chosen by another. It is to choose yourself. And when you do, you will walk not with longing, with grace, not as a shadow seeking the light, but as the flame that burns quietly, illuminating everything it touches. So, the next time someone stops valuing you, don't beg, don't explain, don't exhaust your light. Instead, pull back like the tide and become the ocean. This simple trick, silence, stillness, self-respect, is not a reaction, it is a revelation. You will see who they are. But more importantly, you will meet who you are beneath all the proving, all the pleasing. And perhaps that moment will not break you, it will build you. Return to yourself. Tend to your breath. The garden awaits.